Going Mets and overall baseball fans, thank you guys so much for chiming back into the channel here on WardyNYM for another post-game coverage for the team in Queens. But unfortunately, they did lose tonight to the Washington Nationals 7-3. But I gotta be completely blunt, guys. I have literally no problem with the fact that we lost this game, especially in how the Mets ended up losing, thanks to a reliever that is not going to even be in the Mets bullpen this year. So we're going to be breaking down everything that transpired from this game. As I know, most of you guys watching has probably watched the game already, or if you missed it as well, that's why you want to see the highlights that we have here in the post-game coverage. But if you're watching live, thank you guys so much. I'll be doing a quick roll call to everyone first chiming in here. Really appreciate every single one of you. If you're watching on replay as well, thank you guys so much for being here. Of course, if you're watching replay, this will go for 25 minutes to a half hour tops, as I'll cut it out. But for the people in the live stream, we'll be going for an hour. I'll be answering your questions after I break down and share my quick analysis on everything that transpired in this 7-3 loss tonight for the Mets. So playing a breakdown, I'm excited to get into it. Again, it's a loss, but again, when you look at the context of the loss, what the Mets had today, I'm by no means in my phase whatsoever. This is perfectly fine. The fact that they lost this one. Would I like the Mets to win every game? Yes, but no, that's not how baseball works. And it's spring training. Keeping that in mind more than anything else. But shout out everyone first chiming in the live stream. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. Help us get to 200 likes by the end of the live stream. Always appreciate. But I see Chris, a great subscriber in the channel. I see Liam, Michael, Andrew, Jay, Bruce, Sprite, great member on the channel. How are you? John, Chris Norden, how's it going? Michael Rosenberg, Potato, I always mess up names. I apologize. Dolph Met, Sai, great member on the channel. Matthew, let's see, Insanity, great member on the channel. Oliver, Anxious, Jubilee, doing all those great comments as usual. Oliver, Scott, thank you all so much for being here again. Everyone else chiming in, really do appreciate. But like I said, if you guys watch the game tonight, then I don't really think I need to do too much explaining on the context of how the Mets lost. This is just one of those games where one, the Mets, they had Robinson Cano in the 3-hole playing first base. That's how you know we're in spring training. And I would just like to start off this discussion by saying how impressed I was with Robinson Cano today. And that's why he's one of my top 5 and Wardy's top 5. Not that there was a lot of necessarily offensive positives in this one, especially against a Nationals team that gave up 28 runs yesterday and it was 1-10 in spring training. Of course, the Mets lose tonight because that's always what happens, right? That's our luck. But all jokes aside, Robinson Cano was at first base today, had a small first base, an abnormal first baseman's glove, and he looked like a guy who's been playing first base his entire career. Now, granted, he didn't face anything hard at the first base position tonight when he was playing there. He had a really nice pick, though, on first, getting from the throw from Escobar, getting the tag before, of course, you were even on first base. So, Robbie, I will give credit where credit's due. For a guy that, again, they're trying to just enhance a little bit more versatility with, he's strictly going to be coming off the bench. He's not even the Mets' #1 DH option right now. So regardless on how we feel about Robinson Cano, he is on the roster as of now. So, of course, we got to support the guy no matter what. That's what I'll be doing. I'm never going to wish for a guy to have a lack of success as long as he's on the team. If you're going to be getting at-bats, I want you to do well because I care about the New York Mets through and through. But Robbie, again, had a solid day today. Was 1 for 2, as you saw with that double. We'll be getting into the entire lineup as a whole. But again, pleasant surprise from what I saw from him at first base. I can't complain. And then when you get into, we'll get into the pitching, we'll get into the bullpen and everything. Taijuan Walker, however, really did stand out to me tonight. This is his second to last spring start. He will have one more next week before the season begins, and then the Mets will further evaluate to see if Walker is in fact ready to be in the Mets starting rotation for opening day next Thursday or not. Of course, that is a series in DC. I'm very excited for that. I'll be in attendance for that game 2, where Scherzer's on the bump. But Taijuan looked very strong today, as many of you guys saw by now. 3.2 innings pitched, gave up 3 hits, 0 earned runs, gave up 1 extra base hit, 1 double he gave up today, and 2 strikeouts. 54 pitches for Taijuan. Again, they're easy and back in. Only pitched 2 innings a couple days ago in his first outing because he's coming back from the small surgery he had on his knee back in mid-January. So they have to see if he's going to be ramped up and ready to go for the season. But Taijuan looked really strong today. And what stood out to me right away was his utilization of his sinker. Really liked what I saw from his sinker today. Again, his fastball hasn't looked great in early spring, but the sinker looked very strong today, which led to him with his strikeouts. So very promising stuff. We'll be looking more into Walker's numbers here for sure shortly, but from what I saw from Taijuan Walker today was plenty of positives, and now it will be the biggest test for his final spring start next week prior to opening day to see if, one, how many innings is he going to pitch, two, how is he going to do, and three, will he be ramped up enough to be ready to go for the starting rotation, or will someone like Tyler McGill have to come in and be in that starting five until Walker is truly ready to go based on the amount of pitch count that he can deal with, the amount of innings he can go through. So to be determined on Walker and his future in the Mets rotation to start the season, but very positive sign from what we saw from him today. We'll be looking through his numbers here shortly some more. But shout out everyone again in the live stream. Appreciate you guys. And how the Mets gave up the runs was really just on the bullpen. I'll be getting into that further. I do want to go through the Mets' entire lineup offensively because there definitely were some positives today that I'm excited to break down. And the biggest highlight to me offensively today, guys, has to be Tomas Nido. Tomas Nido was robbed of a home run today. You just saw in the highlight. They called it a double, those schmucks, because they don't do review in spring train. I get it. It's spring. But Nido hit with his first at bat a clear dead center bomb. It was above the mark that would have warranted it being, of course, a home run. They did not give him the home run. Bothered me. That should have eased. That could have definitely changed the direction of the game as a whole offensively. But no less, Nido looked fantastic tonight. 2 for 3, had himself a double and RBI. But in all reality, he had 2 RBIs, a run scored, and a home run. But because they did not give him the home run, that's why he just has the double and the RBI. But Tomas Nido has had a fantastic spring for the New York Mets now, and is currently slashing a 389 average and a over 1,000 OPS. And I know it's spring, I know it's a small sample size, but that's great to see from a Nido, who is expected to get a good amount of playing time this year, splitting time with James McCann. I expect Nido to get more games this season than what we saw him get last year. Last year, dealing with some injuries and some inconsistencies, Nido didn't even have 60 games played at the catching position. This season, I fully expect him to be getting more of a even split with McCann. Not completely even. Of course, it'll be like a 60-40 thing, but even 60-40 is better than what we saw last year. I think Nido is kind of proving it. He had 3 home runs all of last season for the Mets in 2021. Already in spring, I'm counting that was a home run in everyone's book. He really had 2 home runs already in spring. So he's looking great. I'm very happy for Nido. Loved what I'm seeing from him and that tandem between him and McCann. Again, it's going to be nothing crazy, but very happy. And I already see people overreacting to Edwin Diaz today. So I'm going to calm you guys down and throw some reality to you real quick once we talk about Edwin Diaz, because Diaz did not have a great outing today, but by no means am I, looking at this like, oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. We just naturally have PTSD because it's Edwin Diaz, but we'll get into his numbers in a second here. But let's go through the entire offensive production, because Eddie Escobar, who was my top 3 and Wardy's top 5 tonight, looked really, really strong. And man, oh man, I said this on Twitter and I'll say it again, guys. Escobar is easily, and I mean easily, the best third baseman the Mets have had at the position since David Wright, and it's not even close. If you look at the Todd Fraziers, the Jeff McNeils when he had to play in the corner, the Luis Guillorme's that time, not a slight on Guillorme, but he really isn't known for playing third. If you look at every single Met that has been played at the third base position since David Wright retired, there's not one player that is easily to the level that Eduardo Escobar is, which tells you a lot considering Escobar is an average defender. He's nothing stellar, but he just effortless play at third the entire day. Looked flawless there. Just quick run and throw to first. That's something where if you're looking at JD Davis, he has to double clutch on everything because he has literally no confidence in himself at the position. And again, I have no ill will against JD Davis, but that man is a DH and a DH alone. JD had a good offensive day. He was 1 for 1 today with a run score. Unfortunately, has just had the worst luck known to man as long as he's been a New York Met between injuries and what we saw so far in spring. He's been hit by pitches left and right already. It's actually ridiculous the amount of times that he has been hit by pitches already in spring, not being in JD Davis. And he was hit on the hand today, the same hand that is the reason why he was hurt all of last season. So thankfully, it looks like he's okay. But man, oh man, JD just cannot get a break. Pitchers just love plunking him. It's really unfortunate. It's not even like he's completely crowding the plate. It's just ridiculous. I just feel for the guy at this point. I really do. But JD Davis did have a good offensive day for the Mets. And Robinson Cano again did too. Trevor May looked very solid. We'll get into that soon. But what did you miss, Jose? We're breaking it all down as we're talking right now. But if you go through the Mets lineup tonight, what do you see here? Brandon Nimmo, 0 for 2 today. but looked more like the Brandon Nimmo that I'm comfortable seeing. Nimmo, who has not had a great start in spring this year, short in spring, I don't expect everyone to be stellar. It's going to happen. Nimmo looked comfortable in the sense his plate approach was better today, had 2 walks, and that's exactly what I was hoping I would see from Nimmo. So the on-base king does what he does best, gets on base. So loved with that from Nimmo. Then you have Francisco Lindor, probably his worst game of spring thus far, 0 for 4 tonight. I had 2 strikeouts, but again, you're not going to hit every game. I'm by no means am I phasing over it. Lindor, he deserves a break after him literally being the best player offensively for the Mets this spring thus far, and one of the better ones in all baseball. Then you see Robinson Cano. We just talked about him. Daniel Palka, who came in at first base for Robinson Cano when Cano's day was done. Palka won 1 for 2 tonight. Got himself a bloop base hit later in the game. Strong stuff from Palka, who looks to bring a heavy, big power bat to the Syracuse Mets this year. And then we go forward. We have Eduardo Escobar, 1 for 3, as we mentioned. Looked very strong today at the plate. Looked really strong with the glove. Jeff McNeil was 1 for 4 with a run scored, but that stat line is deceiving if you ask me. Jeff McNeil looked fantastic at the plate today for the most part. Jeff McNeil, I have found a comfortability with him with each spring training game he has played. You want to know why? McNeil had 1 hit today and that run scored, but that was an opposite field base hit, beating the shift once again. He's done that numerous times already this spring. And McNeil, who unfortunately struggled a lot last year with this shift, really being heavily shifted, and 2, lack of consistency coming off of that hamstring injury. But McNeil has looked more and more like the McNeil that we have all loved throughout the years. He doesn't look nearly as stressed out there, not nearly as tensed up. You know, he just looks a lot more loose and is looking a lot more comfortable at the plate. And that's what the Mets need from their second baseman. Look, with all the controversies that have happened with McNeil over this past year, look, he's the Mets starting second baseman right now. We need him to have a bounce back year, and I fully expect him to. And I'm excited to see what he's going to bring the Mets this year. Again, very strong stuff from what I've been seeing from him this spring. I'm not getting my hopes up or anything, but for what we have already seen with his opposite field approach, it's a great sign heading into the season with now a week away exactly. And now let's go forward here through the at-bats. Mark Cano 0 for 4 today, did not have a great day. Not a great day in the field either. Him and Brandon Nimmo both, unfortunately, Nimmo had an error. Cano wasn't given an error, even though it basically was. Both of them were not able to catch fly balls. Nimmo got a little thrown off from McNeil going deep into shallow center. And then Nimmo actually had a backtrack and missed a catch. That should have been an out. And then Mark Cano, the same inning, Mark Cano completely lost the fly ball to left and the lights. And because of that, it dropped to his left. And that ended up being a Juan Soto double. But man, oh man, I mean, those things very rarely are going to happen. It is what it is. It's spring training again. If fluke plays like that are going to happen, I'd much rather it happen in spring. So that's what happened today on the defensive front. Outfield they just lost track of the ball. Not even a terribly cloudy day in Port St. Lucie, so I can't really tell you what the reason behind it was. Just a fluky day, outfield-wise, for the Mets. But going further here in the lineup, then we have, again, J.D. Davis looks strong. Dom Smith was 1 for 2, DHing after JD today. Dom continues to rake the spring. Travis Jankowski, who originally I thought was assigned to AAA Syracuse because it showed that on the Mets website today. That ended up not being true, so there was an error there. Very bizarre. But Jankowski still with the Mets, playing in right field today. Went 0 for 2 and had himself 1 strikeout. So it is what it is. Nothing from Jankowski offensively. Carlos Rincon, Mets prospect, got an at-bat. Nothing there. Tomas Nido stood out. And Nick Dini, who came in for the catching spot after Nido, was 0 for 1. So offensively, again, nothing crazy. And again, shout out everybody in the live stream. Appreciate you all being here. Hope you guys are enjoying the post-game analysis and a quick recap, discussion, key highlights, and I'll be answering a lot of your questions soon, folks. I'm looking like a 500 season, folks. Yes. It's 100% going to be a 500 season because we're going to base that all off of spring training games. Yes. I'm glad I'm not the only rational one here. Please pick up on my sarcasm by now if you haven't already. Okay. Getting into the pitching, though, Taijuan Walker. Let's talk about Taijuan's day a little bit further, folks, because I really liked what I saw from him. And again, a little bit more promising than I think what I was expecting from Taijuan today, as he's still trying to get ramped up. But Walker, when you look at his arsenal, what he was dealing with, what really has been an X factor for Taijuan that we saw today was that sinker, as we discussed. And yeah, let's get into it. 24% of his arsenal tonight was the sinker. He topped out at 94 miles per hour. Minimum was 90 miles per hour. Average 92 to 92.5 miles per hour in the sinker. had some nice swing and misses on that one. Four-seam fastball, 24% of his arsenal tonight, topped out on 95 on the heater. Minimum was 91.5 and average right around 93.5 on the four-seamer. Slider, 22% of his arsenal tonight. You had him topping out right around 87 miles per hour. Minimum was 83 and sat right around 85 miles per hour. Splitter, 17%. Slider is what we just discussed before. Now we're getting the splitter, 17%. Had him right around 90 miles per hour. So nice movement there with the splitter. And minimum was not 87 miles per hour. So average 88.5 miles per hour. And the curveball, 13%. 77 miles per hour where he topped out. 74 is where he was at the minimum, and 75 is where he sat on the average. So overall, I love the type of diversity that he used in his arsenal, Nate, today, using his entire 5-pitch mix. That's great to see, and really balanced it quite well. I mean, the top pitch that I used tonight is sinker at 24%, and the pitch he used the least at 13%. Like, that's a good breakup. I was happy to see. Same thing with Jacob deGrom with his last start. The fact that we saw Jake use a lot of his curveballs, not a lot, but more than usual, and his changeup. Now's the time to do it in spring. This is why you want to balance things out when you're working with the multi-pitch arsenal. So a lot of positives from Walker today. Very happy with what I saw transpired. And then when we get into the other bullpen performances, Mets pitching prospect, Michel Otanez, I'm probably butchering his name. I do apologize. Had 0.1 innings pitch, got the final out for Taiwan in the 4th inning, and had one walk, but not a problem. Seth Lugo looked okay today. Nothing crazy, but definitely had some awesome break on the curveball, and got a nice, nasty strikeout on the curveball on Nelson Cruz to end the inning. 2 innings pitched tonight for Seth Lugo. Did give up 2 hits and 2 runs, 2 unearned runs because of the defensive miscues by Nimmo and Cano, respectively, in the outfield. 1 strikeout for Lugo, as we just mentioned, in 26 pitches. Trevor May is my standout tonight in the bullpen, folks. May looked nasty, and what stood out to me about Trevor May wasn't the fact that he just won an easy inning with 2 strikeouts, but the fact that Trevor May is working on a split finger right now. This is a new pitch in his arsenal. He's working more and more on it. They don't even have it properly in Baseball Savant, probably because of the fact that this is a new pitch for Trevor May, and he's loving it. There's a lot of movement on it, so now it's just about really trying to work it more in his arsenal with getting more command. But I love it. May feels that he's a little bit too predictable at times. When you look at the arsenal that he has, it's heavy with the slider, heavy with the fastball, and has a changeup. Adding that split finger just brings another entirely different element to now a 4-pitch type arsenal. So I'm very happy with what I saw from Trevor May tonight. Plenty of movement on that pitch, and that's something that hopefully he gets the command completely down and he can utilize plenty as an X factor pitch for him this season. Again, great stuff from Trevor May tonight. Very happy with that. But let's get into Edwin Diaz, guys, and shout out to Darren, great member on the channel. Jose, how's it going? Let's see, Dave, great member, friend on the channel. All you guys, thank you all so much for being here. I'll be getting your comments very soon. Don't worry, guys. Just want to share my initial analysis before we wrap things up here. But Edwin Diaz, a lot of people are freaking out about. And let me just say this about Edwin Diaz. One, was it funny, but also PTSD-esque to see him throw the finger up in the air so Robles-like to an opposite field bomb by, I don't know, the best hitter in baseball in Juan Soto. Yeah, I didn't appreciate that. But what I will say is that was a 101 fastball on the corner, perfectly placed. Soto just got enough of that for it to go out. It was a close one, too. So for everyone already thinking, oh, my God, Edwin Diaz, he sucks, all this and that. Give me a break, all right? If we're going to harp on Diaz when the time is right. That was not a time to harp on Diaz. It's fun to joke about it. I get it. But 1, it's spring, and 2, you just gave up an Oppo home run on a perfectly placed pitch, not a bad placement at all by Diaz, to literally the best hitter in baseball, the soon-to-be New York Met in a couple of years once he becomes a $500 million man. And no, I'm really not joking if I'm being honest with you. But Juan Soto, best hitter in baseball, by God, if I'm going to give up a home run, yeah, I'm going to be perfectly fine giving up a home run to him. So to everyone thinking that, oh my goodness, this is the end of the world, pump the brakes, guys. You are overreacting a ridiculous amount, which tells me that baseball is officially back, that Mets fans were back, we're up and rolling, ready for the season, overreacting to some spring games. I've overreacted in a positive way. I haven't overreacted too much in a negative way. I have seen the negativity, but I will say, however, when you look at what Diaz did tonight, he didn't pitch great. There's no denying that, but he did get out of the jam. He gave up 1 run tonight. It was a tying run at the time in the 8th. Again, a non-save situation. So if you want to joke about that narrative, go ahead. Ain pitched, gave up a run, gave up a hit, and gave up a, he did give up a walk, but was able to get 2 strikeouts and a nasty strikeout for his final one to end the inning. Beautiful slider down and away, and that ended it. So Diaz, again, not great tonight, but not terrible by any means. We're just, again, people are going to say what they will say no matter the situation, because naturally, if you're not an Edwin Diaz fan, or if you're just so against him to begin with, you're going to jump on anything and everything possible that can continue that narrative, and rightfully so. And that doesn't just go with Diaz, that goes with any player. I completely understand that. Whether I agree or disagree with it's a different discussion, but I know that these things are inevitably going to be happening. So let's get into the final pitcher, to the pitchers that pitched tonight. Eric Orzi, and I do believe you pronounced his last name Orzi, unfortunately did not have a good outing, and it definitely sucks, because Eric Orzi, who pitched in Double-A and Triple-A last year for the Mets, cancer survivor from testicular cancer, skin cancer, great story for the kid. He has been flawless in multiple innings for the Mets this spring, but tonight is where he got caught. Unfortunately, wasn't even able to get out of 1 inning. Orzi in 0.2 innings pitched did give up 2 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Had 2 strikeouts, which was nice, but again, gave up an absolute bomb, a 3-run home run, and that was the icing on the cake in this game. That's what made it blown from being tied 3-3 to 7-3. So for people wondering exactly how the game was lost, that is how the game was lost. If it wasn't for that, the game probably would have tied, if I had to guess. But yeah, it is what it is. Eric Orzi, I just feel bad for him. He's one of those guys that in my mind still is a sleeper pick to crack the bullpen at some point this season. Same thing with Colin Holderman. I do plan to discuss that hopefully in a video over the next week on the channel, so stay tuned for that, for some prospects that can make an impact for the Mets. But Eric Orzi didn't help his case at all tonight, unfortunately. I just feel bad for him, because he really has looked good in spring up until this game. And again, you're not going to be perfect every night. I completely get it. And he's still a prospect. But then Nathan Lavender came in for the final out. Not a problem. Only 4 innings pitch. And that is, in a nutshell, how this game went for the Mets. And Tim Healy tweet. I'm going to check Tim Healy's tweet real quick, because you told me to, and then I'm going to answer a donation, and then we're going to go forward here in the post-game coverage here at WardyNYM. Again, guys, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. You guys have been enjoying the coverage. I really, really do appreciate, folks. Thank you all so much for being here, as always. Okay, let's check Tim's tweet. I don't know what he tweeted about, but naturally, when you guys tell me to check something, there's a reason behind it. Okay, so the news, damn. Okay, well, this just made my mood take a complete 180. Unfortunately, Tim Healy just tweeted out, Jacob deGrom has a tight right shoulder. Buck Showalter said the Mets aren't sure if he will pitch as scheduled tomorrow. So Jacob deGrom, who is scheduled to pitch tomorrow, the final time he would be pitching in spring would be tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. Eastern time. I don't think it's anything to really be awfully concerned about, but I mean, anything that is a potential setback for Jacob deGrom, even in the slightest, is definitely not a positive. So I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to expect Jacob deGrom to pitch tomorrow. I think my Wi-Fi just went down a little too, so I do apologize if my quality gets a little bad here in the post-game coverage. I don't know why I just dropped. But regardless, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Jake probably does not pitch tomorrow, and I don't think that he should. I don't think there is literally any reason to push things unless his shoulders are strictly feeling tight and he wakes up and he feels perfectly fine tomorrow. You know, and don't say you knew it. Stop. To all the schmucks out there that act like they know how a player's feeling and all this stuff. No, you just feel that you know it because the Mets have always been riddled with injuries. Let's pump the brakes. But yes, don't get me wrong. I'm always going to think the worst when it comes to injuries. Unfortunately, it's shoulder tightness. I don't think it's a big deal, but I'm not going to expect him to pitch tomorrow. So we'll see who's going to pitch in placement for him. That's going to be an interesting one. Is it going to be someone like Sean Reed Foley? Is it going to be potentially Tyler McGill, maybe a day or two earlier? I don't know who's going to be pitching for the Mets tomorrow now, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that's the update. Jacob deGrom, shoulder tightness, uncertain if he will pitch for the Mets in their spring training game tomorrow against the St. Louis Cardinals. So, yeah, not happy about that. I mean, definitely not happy. But again, We'll definitely find out to what degree is this tightness for Jake, and if it stays feeling tight or anything like that. But until then, I'm just going to take it as it's unfortunate. That's really all I can say at the moment regarding Jacob deGrom. But I do want to address a donation here before we go forward, and that's from good support Dave. Thank you so much for that. I can't wait until next week. I can't wait either, Dave. I'm so pumped up for it. And enjoy DC. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Hype in the chat for Dave for the donation and support as always. Okay, Michael, I like the way you think. But yeah, so that's really the update on Jacob deGrom. I know that that's kind of a jaw drop just because, again, even if it's not a big deal, you always think the worst with stuff like this. Yeah, just, yeah. Okay. That just sucked the life out of me. You know, it's not ideal. It's not ideal what you want to hear a week away from the season beginning where that man is supposed to be pitching. So definitely don't see him pitching tomorrow. Yeah, that's really it. So I think now is honestly a great time to cut things off for my viewers that are watching on replay. So to everyone in the live stream right now, this is not going towards you. I'd like to make that clear to everyone watching on replay. I hope you guys enjoyed this post-game recap of the Mets. Unfortunately, losing 7-3 tonight. We'll be back for post-game coverage right after tomorrow's game, and then we'll be back, not too long after that in the coming days for more spring training coverage. But hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. As always, for my people watching on replay, not during the live stream right now, if you want to see the extended version like the people in the live stream, just keep those notifications on, baby. Subscribe. Make sure that you're subscribed to WardyNYM. That way you can get your voice heard here in the live stream as I'll be answering questions for the remaining half hour here in the live stream. But thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, let's go Mets, baby.